I've been working on
Absolutely.
Riku's
Yeah.
last name all
Yeah.
morning.
So we have Riku Yanagisawa. He's one of the very well-known Japanese skips, actually, on the men's side, and his team is a group of relatively familiar faces, actually, against Big Jayden King out of London, Ontario, and I call him.
My former hometown there.
Is that right? Wow, I
It
didn't
is. I
know.
used to be from Strathroy, or what's better known as Strath Vegas,
Hmm.
just outside of London. So here we are. It looks like King is in charge for about 38 seconds as they're going to do this peel out on the top, hoping to get the extra double in regards. The interesting part is where the center guard stone is going to end up, because it could jam up and just create a slightly different problem.
Yeah. Well, we've got an effort, I think, to just move some of these yellow guards around. I don't know that they can take care of everything in one shot, but they've made a good dent in the situation, opening it up a little bit, and now both of the rocks in the back of the house are exposed.
Yeah, we saw what could have happened there. I mean, I think they were looking for the double on the two on top of the rock, but it came over a little bit. Only managed to get the shooter out in the single, but it's still fairly open. So I think they'll just, looks like they might replace it. I didn't quite see the call.
I think their idea is to have another rock coming in that will count. Or actually say another one that will count. Right now, red is lying shot, so they either need to tap the red back, which it looks like they've decided to do, and now they lie three, not protected.
Well, that's what happens when you look at the screen and you figure out what the shot call is going to be. You know?
Yeah, it's a trick.
You know,
Yeah,
it's a trick.
yeah, it's a trick. So the guys are playing a fairly wide open end, although you could argue it doesn't seem wide open if there are three yellow rocks in the house. But I think we're going to see a lot of takeouts for the next 2 or 3 shots.
Well, this is definitely going to be the double takeout, and a little bit interesting to play it this deep behind. But let me introduce myself. My name is Chris Daw. I'm joined by Dave Wills. We're here to call this game for this afternoon in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, at the Speedy Creek Shootout.
Yeah, we're just off to a start with this event, I guess you could say. We have a lot of international teams competing. There's a number of teams, I think, that are just trying to get comfortable on Canadian soil in advance of their chance to go to the men's worlds. But others who are just in the process of building their team's experience and working at a high level. It's a terrific event.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the outcome that he exactly wanted. I mean, it's not bad. I thought the call was to come down to the ones at the back, but it was either underthrown or we had the entirely wrong call, David.
Well, I think it was a run back or a tap back to put it into the house, but it just the curl was not what they expected. So they ended up basically leaving a guard, and unfortunately for Riku's team, they're not in a great position now because yellow coming down. Jayden's team is looking at basically drawing in and sitting 3 under cover, or at least 2 of the 3 under cover, and putting a lot of pressure right out of the gate in the first end.
And I think that's what they need to do against this team. Let's go over the team really quick. The skip is Jayden King. Third is Dylan Meepage. Second is Owen Henry. And is Daniel Delconte.
Delconte, yep, absolutely. And the Japanese guys, this is actually, as I mentioned, a familiar group. Riku Yanagisawa is the skip, has been at it for quite some time, very comfortable out there. His vice is Tsuyoshi Yamaguchi, his second is Takeru Yamamoto, and his lead is Satoshi Koizumi. And they've been together, not necessarily on the same team, but working on their game together. And I have happened to see them in various locations for quite some time. So the good news is they're comfortable with each other out there and working together. Now we're trying really hard to run back the red. onto the yellow. Unfortunately, again, the angles are not working well for Riku. He's starting to run out of time. The number of rocks remaining is going to put him under a little bit of pressure.
In this end, anyways.
Yeah,
But there's
exactly.
lots of game left
There
to
you
go.
go. There you go. It's only the first end. Yeah. It's funny how a lot of times the first end is a little bit more open and generally not as taxing. But this one, we're off to a fast start. I think we just had a couple of misses that sort of resulted in us building up rocks in the house, and now we're looking at adding guards. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out.
Yeah, last week I was calling some games, Kelter against Welding. It looked awfully close to what this game is starting. Here comes Skip's first stone.
Right.
This end. Just calling it off, maybe a little bit too heavy for what they wanted. It's got to curl a little bit more. Now they'll carry it in.
Pretty good line. It'll be hard to remove the rock in the forefoot without rolling in, at least to be exposed, if not rolling out entirely. It'll come down to the nature of his weight when he chooses how hard to throw it.
Yeah, it's about half open right now, and it's very early in. I think right now what they're still struggling with, at least the Japanese team, is to get their ice calls down right now. I've seen them just maybe not giving themselves the right side of the broom, and that's just giving themselves a little bit more leeway on their lines.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation when you're on new ice to pick the spot for the broom. Even though these guys do have a warm up, it can be really difficult, and you have to trust these lines. In the first end, that can be a real challenge. Here we go. We're looking at coming around the guard and bumping back the shot yellow stone on the top of the forefoot. And the line looks really good.
Well, the rotation really helped there as well. That's one of the things, I've personally witnessed a little bit more is a lot of the teams are really starting to take the rotations to their advantage in regards to how they're throwing, which is really great to see.
Well, the number of rotations, certainly from the start to finish on the shots, has definitely been increasing. We're now at a zone where we're seeing probably 4, even 5 rotations coming down the ice. And the old days, we talked about 2.5 or 3, and now we've really ramped that up, and it's making for a much more consistent line for the callers. And also on ice that's a little bit tricky with a lot of curl, it's made the rock's path more predictable for the skips, so it's made a big difference.
Here comes the Skip's last stones.
Jayden's last rock, and coming down essentially to tap the red and roll hopefully under cover. And from there, Team Yanagisawa will have a chance.
He noses that. He wanted that to curl just a little bit more to get the roll.
Yep.
So this is why they paid the Skips the big bucks. They've got to save the end. And all he should have to do this is hit this just a little bit on the inside and get that roll.
Yep.
If he noses it, it's not going to help him because I think second stone would outbeat him based on where it's stacked.
It'd be awfully close. The easiest way to solve the problem is to make sure you roll toward the center. Yeah. Lintern tap, probably not a whole lot of weight, just enough to move the rock out and bump in.
So here comes the last stone.
He needs to curl.
He's going to hit it on the outside.
Goodness.
And roll away.
Double. Don't think so.
Nope.
No. Okay. So that's a little steal.
So I think we'll be right back with the second end in a minute. Maybe not.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Saskatchewan, you know Sasktel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With Sasktel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Sasktel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
The people have spoken, the votes are in, and the players are ready to rock. At curling's first ever All-Star event, live from Nashville, April 15th and 16th, where 13 of the world's best men's and women's curlers face off for a star-studded celebrity pro-am, a unique skills competition, and an all-star skins game you won't want to miss. Got a ticket? We'll see you in Music City. Don't have one? Better hurry. They're going fast. The 2025 TCG All-Star Game, live from Nashville, April 15th and 16th. Let's rock.
Center line doesn't have to be on it to cover the two yellow rocks.
Yeah, they got to take that path away.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting, King is sitting 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to hang this high, as we say.
Yeah, there's still lots of options for red to come around and sit in the forefoot. The forefoot is wide open essentially, but the idea of completely hitting and opening things up seems to have fallen a little
Faded
short.
away.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
So here we go. They're going to hang that super high. So
Yeah.
high we can barely even see it on the
Almost,
screen.
yeah, almost not on our screen, but we can see the shadow. All right. Well, interestingly, because it didn't finish curling quite well enough, it would appear that the yellow rock at the top of the forefoot is available with the outturn. And sure enough, this looks like the call. A little hit and maybe a roll underneath the red guard.
Now, there's the question. Is he questioning the call or questioning the ice?
I think he's just making sure he knows what weight is expected. This is probably fine in terms of the ice as long as they get the weight right. So everybody needs to be on the same wavelength.
That yellow rock in the forefoot looks like he's about half open. So lighter. Nope, sorry. A little glitch there. It's got solid rotation, so it'll hold the line. And the line looks pretty good. It's going to hit and roll over.
And hopefully not roll too far. It's rolled far enough that yellow is still shot. Okay, well, baby steps.
That's what it's all about. I mean, this is the lead up. to to Worlds, and this is where you want to get the rust off. So it looks like they're going to test the opposite turn finally and do a come around to draw to the forefoot. Skips first stone. So let's see what Jayden has. If he nails this, he can get a good second steal here. It would really put the pressure on.
Yep, he's taking a bit of a risk though, because he's ignoring the fact that there's a red rock in the house and his other yellow, for the moment at least, is open. So he has to be a little careful because he doesn't want to give up two. As long as he throws the right weight and buries this as second shot, I think he will have succeeded. Looks like he's in great shape. A very, very nice shot.
So that puts the pressure on Riku. He's got to decide what he wants to do. Now, for me, would I open it up in order to give myself an opportunity to at least score one? Or am I going to draw? I'm not sure. He's looking to do maybe a raise takeout with a roll.
I'm having trouble interpreting
what he's doing,
the signals. I think he can still get to that yellow rock if he wants to come by the guard.
Well, I saw him try and get the side of the stone to roll over in behind King's high guard there, but they're taking a close look at it. That rock looks to me on screen completely buried. That shot stone.
Yep. Yeah. Well, with the right weight, I'm not suggesting they're going to throw a peel at it, but they should be able to get. I think they're trying. They're going to go past the guard, and if they can hit, let's say, a third of the yellow rock, push it out the back, and then roll over underneath the yellow guard, that's a pretty good result, especially if they're shot rock. So let's just see how they do. Comes down to the right combination of weight here.
100%.
So we're already working hard. I think it looks pretty good.
It's got to make sure that it doesn't
the guard
roll too far.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
And yes, that worked out quite well. They now have shot rock. It's not perfectly buried, but certainly at least partially behind cover. So we're in pretty good shape, all things considered. Now, if Jayden King can come down and remove that rock and add one, especially if it can roll to a nice spot, he'll put lots of pressure on, and I think he'll force Riku to basically throw a draw to try and salvage his 1 point.
I totally agree with that. My big concern here right now is whether or not they have enough ice, because we did see that red stone kind of curl quite a bit right at the end, which they've got to make sure they get past that center guard there, that red center.
Yep. No, I think there's a fair bit of room, again, depending on weight, but there should be room to get by and still make pretty good contact with the red rock.
Well,
I think
got to work it. It's starting to curl. It's starting to curl.
Oh,
that's exactly what I called.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't think that they had enough ice, so now it's an opportunity
for three.
For three, yeah. No, well, yeah, three. If they decide to hit that back stone,
right,
or they can do the two and just draw. So I think you're just going to throw the safety and get the two here.
I think you're right. There's no attempt. That depending on which side of the screen we look at, that guard disappeared for a minute. But yes, it's possible, but I don't think there's enough desperation to suggest that they need to try it. So a nice solid draw for 2 points is an easy way to go in this situation. Pretty much an easy decision.
Yeah, they can throw into that red stone on the forefoot and bump it back. That would be the way to get their 3. If he throws a heavy draw and just bumps it back.
Nope, the sweepers jumped it, so I suppose they're a little worried about making sure there's enough weight.
And got to work
on.
it. Here comes the other one.
Needs to be, yeah, they made it. I was going to say needs to be better than the back yellow, which it is.
He
Nicely
gets his
swept.
2. All right, so that's a take of 2 for Team Japan, and we'll be right back for the third end.
Team Homan rocks. Team Mowat rocks. But who rocks harder? On April 7th, we'll find out. Presented by Rio Mare, join us in Toronto at the Curling Group's first ever Battle of the Sexes, as world number 1 Team Homan takes on world number 1 Team Mowat in a head-to-head charity curling skins game with a twist. 8 ends, 4 rule changes, and curling like you've never seen before. Watch it live on the Grand Slam of Curling website, app, and YouTube, with celebrity coaches and special guest appearances. The Curling Group's first ever Rio Mare Battle of the Sexes, April 7th, Mattamy Athletic Center in Toronto. Get your tickets now at thegrandslamofcurling.com. Let's rock!
How do you pronounce his name again?
Sorry, who? Yanagisawa?
Yep. Yanagisawa.
Yeah.
Wonder what I can do with that.
Yanagisawa.
All right, I'm going to try this. You can jump in and save me.
Got it.
I tell you, I would have been practicing all morning, too. Spent some time there myself. Here we go. Hi, and welcome back to Swift Current. Team Yanagisawa. I think I got it, David.
Yep, that was pretty
think
good.
I did.
That was pretty good.
Got their 2 in the last 10, and now Jayden King has the hammer going into 3. Looks like he's going to play the come around.
Yeah, instead of doing the corner guard, we have the response to the centerline guard with a rock right around it into the top 4. And this looks like it's been beautifully thrown and managed perfectly by the sweepers. Top button.
Well, this is just an aggressive move to see if Team Japan can come up and make the call. The lead is all right.
Yeah.
Koizumi.
Yes.
Koizumi.
Yes, Koizumi. Yep, that's right.
Oh, I'm getting it, Dave.
You are. We're getting there. Yep. And Satoshi's he's trying to come around. Essentially, we're almost turning this into a little bit of a mixed doubles kind of game where we have a centerline guard and we're drawing around to the top of the forefoot and corner freezing in an attempt to basically get some advantageous positions and angles, and then ultimately we'll be able to bump some things into position later on in the end. So again, Jayden is signaling to come around, only he's coming around the other way, hopefully to line things up with his other yellow rock in the house, and they'll be in great shape. Got to get the weight right here.
I think you had the call dead on. This is looking like a mixed doubles game. Right? This one, again, really working the weight. No, working the line. Sorry. And that one's hung a little higher than they wanted. So this will be interesting to see how Japan responds.
Another option for sure, and one of the ones where they can decide, hey, if this rock is not going to end up where we want it perfectly, then we can also, I guess, use an alternate plan. that rock there that they just threw, splitting the center line, essentially acts as a very useful guard. The question is, who's going to be the first to take advantage and get some things into scoring position?
Well, another option, I guess, is you got to be careful of the takeout on the opposite side here. I mean, that would be the way to get shot stone open, depending on where this one is. So we'll see what happens. It's going a little deeper than they wanted.
But we are heavy. Okay.
It's still not in a bad spot, actually,
Yeah.
for third stone.
Well, it's not really accessible as it's kind of hidden, but it does give Team King an opportunity to take advantage, or to I guess turn their attention to these rocks up front.
Yeah, I mean, we did not see Japan respond fast enough in the first end by peeling out. So now you're going to see Jayden begin the peel out, give himself the opportunity later on in the end. So this is just a takeout on the red stone up front.
Yeah, he's trying to come around the top guard and move the second one essentially off to the side, and I think in the process roll his own over into the open, into a spot where it's a little bit more usable.
That, and give himself a great line at that red shot stone. So
Okay.
he's got to be careful now. Japan sitting. Did it hang around? Yep, just. So Japan sitting 2, 3, 4. And that lone yellow stone is getting a little lonely.
Yeah, it's starting to look a little vulnerable right now. And definitely Team Yanagisawa is going to try and take advantage of this. If they can hit the red and run the yellow out, they'll be lying 4. I'm not sure they'll be in ideal position, but they'll certainly have an advantage in terms of just the pure number of rocks in the house.
So Yamamoto with his throw. See, I can get that name. This looks a little wide. Is it even going to contact?
Oh. So again, we've seen this 2 or 3 times where the line ended up either not curling as they expected, or if perhaps they were just flaring as they're releasing, but something funny's going on there. And when they do have enough weight to move rocks, they pay a price when it gets out there and doesn't come back.
I think you had it there, David. I think he just, I used to call it chicken winging. You can see him just pop his elbow out there on the release. So that one definitely hurt.
Okay. So Team King is coming down and essentially, I think, trying to come into the 4-foot, but to bump the red rock off to the side / back of the rings.
Gotta let it go.
Let
it go, guy. Come across the face.
I think we're good.
There we go. That's not a bad shot.
Okay, so now Team King is lying 2, but he did roll into an exposed situation, so it's given the yellow team, the Japanese team, a chance to draw or maybe tap and come into the 4-foot. Again, they have to be very careful with their lines. This is an area where they've been picking up their weight and things haven't been curling the way they expect.
Yeah, they're not giving themselves the right side of the broom is what we used to call it.
Yeah.
So
well,
the
you have
last
to
one was
trust the curl.
Out.
Yeah.
So that was on the wrong side of the broom. The right side of the broom would have been better.
Well, interestingly, after they had we've seen a couple of rocks didn't curl enough. Then the one we just watched actually over curled. So that adds to the mystery when you're trying to figure out where to put the broom.
Here comes the throw. And some light cleaning going on here.
Yeah. So the first priority is to get rid of the yellow and hopefully
so he's
benefit from a little roll.
Come across and sit on top. So wow, that's starting to stack up on King here. They're sitting now 4. with
Well,
King's single stone being shot. But King does have the hammer, so
yeah, he
lucky.
has to be a little bit careful because I think they've realized that if they can get to that top red, the one at the top of the forefoot, and push it, they'll be able to move that yellow out of position. So I think Jayden King is just asking for another rock to join the party at the top of the forefoot. If they can move or push that red into a little wider position. This, however, is not curling. No, you know what? I think actually he was trying to hit the rock at the back of the 8-foot, not the one at the top of the 4-foot. Based on that path, I think I miscalled what he had tried to do there. So
No, I think that happens. I mean, we're always the armchair coaches up here commentating on it,
mm,
and without any audio feedback,
right.
it's hard to make a call. We did the guess, and the outcome for King was actually quite good because that yellow guard, is so high
hmm
you can almost ignore it.
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility to come around it with reasonable weight and make contact with any of these rocks that are in the center of the house. So we are now throwing red, and they're trying, I think, to just come around the center line guard, from what I can tell, and push their red back into the yellow and potentially sit two. It'll depend on the weight and the angles. A little
Yeah, they
surprised
have
he
to.
isn't coming the other way, though. That he could throw an out turn at this. But he's throwing the in turn, so.
I agree with you. I mean, I would probably come at it and the other handle and see what you could do with it. But we'll know in about 30 seconds or so. Looking for a little less ice. And this is where we've almost seen, well, we saw one flash by Japan and almost the miss there by Team King. So I wonder if there's a little run down that side, but we'll know in a second. Looks like it's
Again, this
hanging.
seems to be quite wide. This was the same thing we saw from him last end.
Now it'll break if the weight's there, but this is, I think there might be a little run.
Okay.
So watch for the guard. Right into the pocket. There we
Well,
go.
it's got to be. The only thing is that Jayden King will definitely want to make sure that he's sitting two, multiplying his chances of scoring more than 1 point. I think he'll move that red back. I don't know if he'll throw a big weight at it, but he'll definitely move it. Now, based on this broom, it's hard to tell how much weight we're looking at, but I don't think it'll be that much.
I think he's looking for the draw to top four to get into the little pocket there. It's going to run. There's that rotation. Got to let it curl, guys. There's that run down that sheet. That is
Definitely did not curl as much as they had expected.
Well, that's that rotation, David. I mean, you increase that handle if there is a run down there. That rotation is not going to let the yellow stone come off the ridge and take the curl. So now we'll see what's going on.
All right. Well, yellow is still sitting one and relatively well protected, and not a lot of places with backing that red can hide. So Team Yanagisawa is throwing what it would appear to be as a draw, or I suppose a little angle freeze. It'll have to be perfectly thrown in terms of weight.
I think the angle freeze is going to set them up a little bit better for the steal, but we'll know in a second. And this seems like a lot of ice out here, the way that we've seen this side of the sheet going so far. So down weight. Really got to work this rock. I think they were looking for that angle freeze, and this is over curled on them now.
It's also lighter than they expected. I think they misjudged the weight. All right. The good news is that it's another rock that's getting in the way, so to speak. So we're not too bad. But Team King has hammer. They're already lying one, so Team Yanagisawa has to be a little careful not to let them get carried away here.
Yeah, it's interesting. They have 9 stones in play this end. We haven't seen this many stones in play leading up so far. Again, third end, but I think this end is playing out to be more of a who makes the right shot first. And down weight, we know that it'll curl. And I think you saw that just now if you wanted maybe a little bit more ice. There's that rotation again. They're gonna curl. Oh, this looks like a dandy.
An angle freeze.
Looks like a dandy.
Yeah. So sets up the opportunity to score multiple points. First shot plus third and fourth, and a way to get rid of second shot if they have the access to it. So now Team Yanagisawa is looking at options. They either have to remove a yellow and roll, which they're talking about.
They'd have to hit
guard.
that far yellow fairly high to stop it from rolling underneath. If they hit it too shallow, it'll roll underneath.
But they don't mind rolling underneath if they can hide. Let's say it goes across and sits on the side of the button.
Yeah, it's a precision shot. They're going to throw, I believe they're going to throw the opposite turn at this.
Yeah, this is the out turn, which is fine.
You got to have faith in your capabilities. You call it a skip, you better make it.
Here we go. So it's the out turn with a fair bit of weight because it's got to roll a fair distance after it makes contact. And they haven't thrown a lot of inside out shots. This is over
curl.
A hit, but not much of a roll.
So this should be a straight, almost nose hit. Just off a little bit.
Yeah, I think they would like to find a way to get 3 points rather than just 2 by keeping their shooter around. So if they hit the yellow a little bit thinner than nose, a little bit more on the outside than nose, they could ricochet off and hit the other red and then sit. I think that's sort of the
call.
The idea that they've got going on.
Just cleaning the path. They've just got to make sure that it doesn't over curl on them.
Yeah, I think about a quarter, from my experience, about a quarter of a rock, maybe even a little bit thinner than that, should work.
Here comes the shot.
Gotta go.
Hold that line.
Gotta go. Sit. All right.
So 2.
The consolation prize is 2, which is not bad. Yep. Very nice.
All right. We'll be back for the 4th end at the Swift Current Speedy Creek Shootout.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Welcome to the RockShop.net, the official store for the Grand Slam of curling. Whether you're looking for the best hats, stylish clothing, fun toys, or unique accessories, the Rock Shop has it all. Shop online anytime at therockshop.net for exclusive Grand Slam of curling gear, or come see us in person at your next event. Therockshop.net, where fans find their favorite curling gear.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind from pre-seed to post-harvest. You can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you and your farm ahead of the curve. Grow with us at victorycanola.com.
Welcome back as we enter into the fourth end now, and we have Team King up 3-2 against Team
Yanagisawa.
There we go.
Absolutely. And here we're going back to the model after last end where Team King was able to make a 2 to the corner guard setup. So it's going to be interesting to see how the teams choose to alter their strategy from one end to the next. It's hard to tell what's going to work if they're still struggling with the lines and putting the broom down in the right place.
100%. You're going to see this atypical play around the center guard now. And are lucky to be able to bring you this from Speedy Creek. I wonder why they call it Speedy Creek.
Oh, I guess it's supposed to be a fun way of saying swift current. That's the best. That's the best I can come up with. And it's a nice name to give something that sounds a little more unique than just calling it the Swift Current Shootout or something, I suppose. Well, like calling Toronto the Big Smoke.
I'm not going to tell you what they call Victoria is another thing that I wish I could share the acronym for, but we can't do that on here. Mm-hmm. And they're going to give this one a little nudge.
And try to roll underneath their corner guard.
And it rolls too far wide open for second shot. So
it's successful. However, certainly needed to curl another inch or two. That would have been even better. They left the King Rock in play. And it is actually shot right now. And it looks like Team King is actually just going to draw around the center line guard again.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's so early in the end. They're going to make sure that they're setting themselves up for that steal again. Team Japan, Rinku, with the hammer this end. That's and I believe, are they playing 8 ends or 10 ends here?
I'm pretty sure it's 8.
So we might be heading into the fourth end break here in this one.
Yep.
It's hanging out a little bit more than what they wanted to. But now it curls. And beautiful finish right to the button.
Yeah, the line is really nice. It's I guess you can say it's hidden. It opens up the idea that Team Yanagisawa needs to peel to get rid of guards, or I suppose if they want to challenge, they can draw right down to it and sit on the face.
That's the call.
Yep, sit on the face. Although they're not taking very much ice. Goodness.
Well, I think this is the option, right? I mean, if they wreck on the guard, that would open it up.
Yep.
So it's not a bad thing. Now, can they hold the line? You've seen it take off. They look like they're past the guard.
Yep.
They are.
Good work by the sweepers.
And that's going to roll into the open. I think there's a flat double there now. Pretty flat.
Well, even if it's not a double made, if they can hit the red and roll toward the outside and sit two, that will make things very, very difficult and for their opponents. The Red Rocks have hammer, but if the yellows can sort of take over positionally, there's not much that red will be able to do other than just find a way to draw and score one. So this will be a big shot.
This is the call. It is for the double. Let's see if they make it. Got to hold that line. Rex on the guard. Not all bad. It opens that side up.
Yeah. And makes it hard to decide what to do. I think, yeah, we're going to have a play on the existing yellow rock in the house, even if it's just a nose hit. And lie 3 in the house. When you have hammer and you're lying 3, even if there's not a lot of cover on those exact rocks, it's a nice feeling if you're trying to make sure you get a minimum of 2.
Looking for maybe just the nose hit. They certainly don't want it to roll over too far.
No. First things first, it has to curl enough to stick around. There we go. There we go. Yeah, perfect. And they're all nicely lined up, so it's very hard to make a double. The ones that are closer to each other, I suppose, there's a double available if you're going to throw big weight. And as you just saw Jayden signaling to his team with his hand up on his head, we're talking about big weight here. So here we go.
This is their original call the last time. I would be very impressed if they got the triple. It's never going to happen.
I don't think so. But they changed the turn, though, that they use, which is interesting. So maybe that's helpful. There you go. The double is made, and I believe they're sitting shot rock.
They are.
Happily for Team Yanagisawa, they have a chance to simply trade hits from here to the end and score 2. But first things first, they have to make sure that they take out the yellow and sit somewhere in the rings to count.
Well, they have hammer, so tentatively the way this is set up, they could technically get 3.
Well, if they just exchange hits from here on, it'll be 2 red. But if they can get a miss out of their opponent, I suppose anything's possible. Or if their opponent rolls too far away and they decide to draw around the center line guard to add a 3rd, then you never know what can happen. We're throwing this inside out. Last time the rock got away from them, so we have to be careful on this line. And here they are again, making sure it doesn't over curl. This looks good. Yep.
And for first and second, and looking to hit and roll over behind the center guard. Try and manufacture that steal.
And again, we're looking at big weight. You guys are throwing an attempt to have a flat roll just across into the 4-foot. It'll be interesting to see how this rock tracks. Each one of the shots down this part of the ice so far in this end has been a little different in terms of how it's curled, whether it's been as predictable as they think.
Here comes the throw. This needs to curl. This needs to curl.
And
it's going to roll out.
Rolls out. So now we can just try. No, they're going to stay outside. They're not going to put anything underneath. and force Team King to chase these rocks that are on the outer rings, which is probably a wise move. Then you're guaranteed 2.
This is Yamamoto plays third.
Yep. Oh, sorry, Yamaguchi.
Oh, Yamaguchi.
Mm-hmm. Yamamoto is the second.
Yeah. They're just splitting the house here?
Yep. 2 rocks in scoring position. They won't bother going underneath the center unless they have a big opportunity from a miss from Team King. We're now at skip rocks, so 4 rocks to go, and Jayden King is throwing, and he's trying to do the same thing that his vice tried. It looks like they've got the same ice, interestingly, so that calls into question what happened the last time, because they hit and rolled out. However, we get the right track, we should be fine.
They've just... Doesn't look like that ridge, which was an end or 2 ago, is coming into play too much anymore. So is this going to stay up on them? No, they're going to get the roll this time.
Definitely got a roll, but is it too much?
It is.
Yeah, just a bit. Well, after being fooled with no curl the last time, they got fooled with too much curl. So they're now Team Yanagisawa with the red rocks are just going to throw another rock into essentially the same place that the other one was. The T line in the 8/12 foot, as long as it's counting as second shot, they'll be in great shape.
And this is, if I'm not mistaken, Skip's first stone.
That's right. Yep, this is Riku Yanagisawa's first rock. Just coming down with a little out-turn draw over into the wings. Looking for T-line weight.
And, man, I hope that broom doesn't snap the way he was leaning on it there.
Yeah.
That was sitting on the broom head, I guess, is the way to call it.
Yeah. Well, this new hard clean system that some of the curlers are using, puts a lot of extra pressure on the brooms. If you really want to see some brooms bend, if you look on the sheet beside ours, you've got the Swedes.
Yeah,
and Oscar Eriksson and Rasmus Rano can really put a lot of weight on the broom.
So I think the call here is for the draw, if I'm not mistaken. The risk reward is whether or not you're going to go for the flat double.
I don't know if that's true. We can't really tell because of the position of the broom. When we see how hard he throws it, we'll know. But I think he wants to hit. I'd be shocked if he tries to draw. And he doesn't get it in the right place, he could give up 3.
Yeah.
No, I think we're hitting. Hit and roll.
There we go. Undercover. Gotta work. Come on.
That's a pretty good shot. Well covered. And interestingly, Rico's going to throw an in-turn, which is perfectly fine if he makes it over hard enough. But I thought to myself, if he drives the yellow back onto the yellow in the back of the house, it could end up out-counting his red. If he were coming the other way, he has a little bit more, more flexibility. I suppose he feels he knows this line better. Last rock of the end.
Here we go.
This needs to curl.
Is he gonna push it over enough?
That's the problem. Go, go, go.
So he's lying
I
second.
don't know if it's 2 or only 1. Yeah, I think it's just 1.
1. All right, so that is 1 for King going into the 4th. We're all tied up, and we'll see in a few minutes. We'll see if they're going to go right into the next end or take a little break. That's all for right this moment from Swift Current.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardlines Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Sasktel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? Sasktel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
For over 20 years, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has granted more than $9 million to hospitals across Canada for life-saving equipment for premature and critically ill babies. In the past 4 years alone, $4 million has been granted thanks to the curling community's incredible generosity. The need continues year-round, and with your help, we can ensure every baby has the chance to grow up and become a champion, just like Sandra.
All right, here we are. A little bit of a short break. Welcome back to the Speedy Creek Shootout. We've got a tie game here, David, and an interesting situation going into the last 4 ends.
Yeah, we had a chance for 2 for Team Yanagisawa last end on the final shot, but unfortunately he had a bit of a bad break with the angle that he hit and ended up with just the 1. The good news was he was easy to secure a 1, but not a 2. And so now we're back to normal, and we are playing the aggressive approach where instead of throwing corner guards, Team King has decided to go around the center line and coming right into the 4-foot. So here we go. This will be an aggressive end where both teams are going to play a little bit of an attack strategy.
Yeah. We'll just see if they get their line calls right. And that's been the big struggle here. They were starting to get it down the last end, but we'll see how it changes. Getting into the later ends as the pebble wears down a little bit more, but here we go. Game on. Nice throw.
Yep. Yeah, we have the control area being filled as we speak with the Red Rocks just sitting on a nice angle in front of the 4-foot, and then we'll see Team King now throwing the same kind of shot with the outturn coming down and sitting just at the top of the 4-foot as well, giving both teams opportunities to bump and hit their way into ideal position.
Well, this one looks a little bit out there, heavy weight, so we'll see if it curls. There it starts to go a little bit.
Yeah, he's just bumping his own rock, which is not a bad thing. Lying to. The downside is that the rock that they just threw is now quite vulnerable. We haven't had 5 rocks yet, so we cannot. Well, actually, no. Sorry, the yellow rock is in the house, so it can be hit. I was going to say 5 rock rule, but my mixed doubles brain was kicking in there for a second.
Wouldn't that change the game if you couldn't remove?
Yeah. Well, that's what it
5
is.
rocks.
That's what it is in mixed doubles, right? It's
Yeah.
5 rocks, and you can't remove anything, no matter where it is. Whereas in 4-player curling, if it's in the house, you can go ahead and hit it, no problem. But the finesse side of this situation for both teams is that they don't mind bumping and moving rocks around, maybe to the back of the rings, but there's nobody throwing big weight down here and trying to sort of crash and bang rocks out of play.
So
Yellow
that's
rock.
a nice little little hit and roll and bump.
Yep, the brooms came up quickly on that one. Very nice. Dead behind the guard.
So that's 5 rocks. So peeling, I think he's looking to either peel this high guard or run it straight back.
I think this is a run back. Just off nose. That way the shooter will not stay in the center.
Here we go. It looks pretty good for nose. It's a little off, but pretty good.
Yeah, so that's made a big difference right away. Removed 2 of the rocks in the house, opened one up so it's completely accessible. We still have 1 red rock buried, and Team Yanagisawa will probably try to replace one of those rocks that get in the way, so to speak. But the good news is that if Team King wants to try the same kind of shot again, they're now raising their own rock rather than the opponent's rock. So there's lots of opportunities yet.
I like his call to come into top 12 just touching 8, but maybe come with the other handle.
Yeah. I suspect these guys are picking their sides based on what's comfortable for the guys throwing. It seems, for example, that the skip loves to throw in turns when he has the choice. And it may be the same thing for Yamamoto, where he's just much happier with an out turn. That rock, although it seems like it was short, well, it seems like it was a failed shot, actually gets in the way of the run back. So in that sense, it's doing quite an effective job.
Yep. Well,
Team
looks
King's
like
going to open it up
peeling.
anyway. Yep. Well, if they can hit things on the high side with this shot, they could technically run the red back into the other red in the house and remove everything. There could be some big damage here with the right angles.
Well, we'll see what damage we get. We get some, but
just
not
plain
enough.
Old plain peel. Yeah. Now what?
A plain peel.
A plain old peel.
A plain old peel.
Yep. All right. So we're trying to come in to the top of the house now, and again, have rocks that are essentially occupying space that makes it very difficult for Team King to access the scoring area. We may see an attempt at the old Christmas tree effect. You sort of layer the rocks in a nice way so that nothing is easy to remove.
I haven't heard that for a few years. The Christmas
really?
tree.
Oh,
not for a few years.
I hear people say it all the time on the ice or when we're talking about the games, and it's certainly on some of the broadcasts of the national level stuff, like when we're watching TSN and things. I hear it. Yeah. All right, here we go. Top 12. Come around draw.
So I like the fancy shoes there, the nice orange shoes. This looks a little lighter than what they wanted.
The effect is going to be the same, but instead of being behind the rock, I think it's going to be in front. Well, It's not the end of the world, but it would have been nice to have another rock touching the rings, I think.
So he's looking for the double. He's got to hit it. It, reasonable.
Well, it has to have a lot of speed. This will be a freight train.
Absolutely. I'd like to see the wheelchair game, coming from the wheelchair game, but broadcasting for about the last 10 or 15 years for able-body. I'd like to see the wheelchair game get to this point where these forms of strategies can be used. Just missed it. Shoots underneath, but you know, cleans out one.
Yeah,
that's
it
pretty
was a
good.
very hard double, but he gave it a whirl. Worth trying. The only thing is that at some point, maybe in a rock or two, I'm just trying to count how far we are. I think we're 5 rocks in now, or 6. The idea of that same shot being a hit and roll rather than trying to double means that he has a rock that gets in the way, and they've had some success with just getting in the way with their opponent. The team from Japan has definitely struggled a little bit with finding a way to manufacture extra points.
Yeah, 100%, and then it'd be very, very interesting to see if he doesn't, King doesn't peel out those top 2, depending on what this shot does. As it makes its way down, it's a finesse shot, of course. Looking to draw maybe top 4 by the weight.
Yep. They need to get this underneath so it's partially buried.
Maybe a third of a rock got buried there.
Yep. The question is, can Team King hit the rock they just threw and make a double and sit in the rings? I think they can sit in the ring, but I don't know if they can hide. So now Jayden's looking at the idea of trying to remove everything. And you know what? He's right, because the angles are lining up pretty well. I think at least 3 red rocks are going to be in motion here.
Yeah, you got to get out of the way on this one. That's for sure. Get a running start, boys, because she should be flying.
Yeah, definitely.
Did it come up?
1, 2, 3. Yep, it didn't. No, it didn't curl up enough to get to the nose. So it definitely was not quite as good as it turned out. But we still have opened things up, which is one of his goals. I think at this point, Jayden's got to start looking at throwing things in the house. But
yeah, I think the weight was down a little bit. I was expecting a lot more weight on that than that. I mean, that was a solid peel weight, but not quite the weight I was expecting.
Okay, so I don't know if they're still having issues with trusting the line. It seems a bit funny how they don't seem to be quite getting the line right. There's just a little bit extra curl they're looking for, or the opposite sometimes.
We've seen this all game, Dave.
Yeah, we're not seeing precision.
They've been questioning it, flaring it out a little bit. Again, just not playing to that right side of the broom. We've got about half an inch sometimes that you can counter to play on, and that's looking like it's biting them a little bit here. Let's see what they've got.
A little draw coming in. And primarily getting in the way, and also I think threatening to give them a chance to score, or at least to steal, should Team King not find the lines.
Well, the question now is, are you coming around and bumping, or are you peeling it out?
I think there's going to be a hit here. If he can hit just off nose, he should be able to remove 2 reds. I don't think he'll be shot. And that'll give him some options on his final shot. At this point, I think Jayden, that's his best bet. He's got hammer, and he's got to make sure he gives himself an opportunity to score on his final shot.
Well, it's all about execution. And the execution, as we've said, they've been struggling a little bit with their line calls, but let's see what he's got in this, his first stone of this 5th end.
So we have a double. Is that a triple? Almost.
Almost. That's a great shot. They're happy with that one.
Yeah. And so Team Yanagisawa, understandably, is going to make sure they remove the yellow. And then the question becomes, where are we going to go afterwards? If they can roll over toward the center, they'll create an interesting... No, it looks like they're just drawing. Interesting. To lie too.
Yeah, I mean, that will put the pressure on Jayden to make that draw to full 4, because we've seen a lot of upweight shots by them at this point in time.
Well, they surprised me a little bit, because I would have thought they would. Nope, now they're talking. They're changing their mind. They can hear me.
Well, that's good. Get in there, coach. Come on, coach. Get in.
Yeah. No, I can't decide what they've finally chosen here. When we see the broom, this is a draw. Okay. So straight draw. They're being a little bit daring. If they make the right draw behind cover, July 2, that's actually going to work out beautifully. So you have great trust in your skips. So we have the outturn coming down, looking for a little bit more curl than we seem to be getting, and ultimately trying to finish hidden behind the yellow rock that's sitting in the top of the 12-foot. And that has curled into a pretty nice position. The danger in trying the draw was to leave themselves vulnerable for a double and allowing their opponents to score 2. But I think that they have succeeded in forcing Jayden to basically make a play on the rock in the top of the 4-foot and taking 1 point. I think this is a really good force. Although I still feel as if they were trying to bury that red rock just a tiny bit more.
I absolutely agree with you, and my apologies. My little tiny baby German Shepherd decided to get in on the game. He was trying to throw off the shot.
Yeah. Well, he barked at not quite the right time, but we'll work on that. We still have
don't say that.
A few more ends. We have a few more ends to work on that. So the timing. Maybe if they make a fabulous shot, he can bark like it'll sound like cheering.
This looks like a pretty darn good shot, and they'll get their 1.
Yep, an easy force for 1.
And team, I can't.
Yanagisawa.
I can't do it, David. All right, we'll be back for the 6th end. Fist pumps all the way around.
The people have spoken, the votes are in, and the players are ready to rock. At curling's first ever all-star event, live from Nashville, April 15th and 16th, where 13 of the world's best men's and women's curlers face off for a star-studded celebrity pro-am, a unique skills competition, and an all-star skins game you won't want to miss. Got a ticket? We'll see you in Music City. Don't have one? Better hurry. They're going fast. The 2025 TCG All-Star Game, live from Nashville, April 15th and 16th. Let's rock.
All right, we're back, and we have Team King, a Canadian team, taking on Yeah, can't do it again, David.
Team
sorry.
Yanagisawa from Japan.
It's becoming comedic
Yeah,
almost.
that's fine.
4-3 in the sixth end. We are playing 8 here at the Speedy Creek Shootout in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Another change in strategy almost. By the look of it, we'll see these guys come around. I believe that's the call.
Yeah, they're. It's almost as if they're searching for a magic formula. What's going to work best? They've tried the classic stuff, the textbook, and then they've tried a few a little bit different. Coming around the center line guard, I think that Team Yanagisawa with their Red Rocks tried to throw a corner guard, but it just has gone a little deep. So it's sitting just short of the house, and it can be used, but I don't know if it can be used as a guard, at least not with the Yellow Rocks positioned as they are. That can change pretty quickly. And there's also a bit of a port there, so we may see the Reds coming just right through. It looks, based on where the room is, it looks as if they're eyeing up that port and just coming through and tapping the Yellow out from the house. Let's just see how this goes.
Yeah, I think I agree with your call. I think they're looking to draw through that port and get in there.
Yep, backline wait.
Stone.
It's got a curl.
It will take off right at the end. There it goes.
Mm-hmm.
A little bump. So we'll
really
see
nice
what the play is by King now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Jayden's looking at the situation, knowing that his Yellow Rock in the forefoot, while it is shot, is definitely vulnerable at this point. So he's got to put something in position to take away some of the access.
And we saw that in the fourth end, I believe, where we had, I think it was 11 stones in play.
Yeah, there've been quite a few in most of the ends so far. Not a lot of wide open hitting. Although there have been attempts to be wide open, they haven't worked. So
they've really got to work this one to get it by the guard.
Around the
guard.
Going
to be close.
Top 4.
Going to be close. No, just underthrown.
So he called him off. Yep, he called him off in time to basically create a bit of a split guard situation, and not enough room between them. So pretty good plan B, and it's forcing Team Yanagisawa to essentially deal with these two guards. The downside for Team King is that if they play this correctly, both of those guards should go with one shot. So
Yanagisawa has a good percentage this year, 37 wins, 25 losses, 59% win. And going to bring up Jayden King's win-loss here in a second. A minute I can find it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having a great season too at
Yep.
Win-loss 62.3.
Yep. So I'm in Ontario. My club actually hosted the Ontario Championships this year, and we got to see Jayden competing in the provincials, and he had a nice run there. Did not ultimately win. Of course, we know that the title went to Sam Moybrook, but certainly a name and a figure that we tend to see and remember now because he's been around and competing at a really high level. It's great to see.
And it's great to see the age, keeping the sport running. The ages are getting a little bit younger and younger as some of the older, mature curlers decide to retire. Saw Sherry Madaw and Mike Harris moving on in seniors play.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm qualified to play senior too. I'm just trying to figure out how to find myself a good team.
I hate to say it, I'm qualified to play senior. They don't have senior wheelchair curling yet.
No? Oh, that's interesting, because they have mixed doubles now, which That's a relatively recent addition. All right, so Team King has just thrown a guard. I guess you call it a nuisance rock, where it's getting in the way, taking away access to the button, and it forces Team Yanagisawa to decide whether they want to go ahead and try to get rid of guards, which it looks like he's choosing, or play the draw game where he comes around and tries to outcount his opponent.
Well, I definitely think they need to do this. They have not been doing this throughout the game early enough. So it's nice to see as the game gets a little bit later on in the ends, 8 ends only in this particular event.
Well, if he can hit this high side, he may be able to do some damage to the situation in the house. He does have to be a little bit careful. This is over curling.
There you go. Got shot rock out of it.
He actually just turned and apologized to his opponents. That was not intentional. However,
yeah, it happens.
Having a rock on the button buried behind 2 guards is not a bad result.
And I think you and I will meet up again on Saturday.
Yep. Yeah, I noticed that. I've got tomorrow and Saturday. 2 games at 2:30. I think one of them I'm just the only one there so far. But you're already very busy, from what I can tell.
Oh, I'm booked up. Booked up solid. Here we go. Here's the throw. And, this is a nice control weight.
In-turn draw, going through the port and right back to the shot rock. If they can get to it or even tap it, they should be in really great shape. Key is
to let it go a bit.
Yeah, key is to make sure they hide.
Yeah. Past the guard. Now they got to work it.
They came up a hair short.
That's an interesting overhead shot. We can clearly see that red is laying one. And now what do? That's the question. They got to block that hole. Otherwise, I think you're going to see them just follow it not down again.
The only question is there a danger of the straight run back, where if they guard the access through the port, then the straight back shot red, yellow, yellow, taking out the red and leaving yellow lying 2. So they have to be a little bit careful.
Well, I think that might be what they're worrying about, what the discussion is now. That's an interesting look at it. They're looking at red, yellow, leaving it basically where their broom is. That's interesting on that side too. It's really hard right now, David, to figure out their thought process. For us, I think it pops out to us a little bit.
Yeah, well, they have hammer, and part of the reason they're having this long chat, I think, is because they're trying to figure out how to multiply their score. It's one thing to say, hey, we've got a point, let's seal it up so that we make sure, but at the end of the day, if they can increase their odds of scoring 2 or 3, I think that's part of the reason for the big discussion. I don't think these guys are on a clock, which is in some ways a bit of a challenge, because they can find themselves taking extra time when we're all waiting. They normally come up with a plan.
Yeah, that clock does drive the decision making pretty quick.
So we are, based on where the broom is lying now, I think we're looking at a draw coming down into the port area, and probably trying to hide at least a part of the rock so that there's no direct access to it. It'll have to be hit on an angle if somebody wants to make a play. We'll see if I'm right, because of course, having all the conversations, they've chosen the shot, but we haven't had much of a call from the skip. So now the guy in the hack is deciding he wants to change the shot.
And that happens. Here we go again.
Okay.
They're going to peel out the top one.
That's their own rock.
Yeah. And that looks like what the call was, or the option. Now we're drawn. I think we'll be drawing to top 8, maybe full 8.
Yeah. Full 8, half married. See how it goes.
Third's last stone of the end. 8 ends being played. 4-3 for Team King, Jayden King. They gotta go to get full 8.
This is definitely bending. But it's actually having a pretty good effect. It's taking away the port. I think they would have preferred it to be between the two yellows, but the actual position left to right is very good. It's forcing Team King to play the out turn on just going completely over to the other side of the sheet.
Yeah, and this is going to be a precise draw, I think, all the way in to the button. See what he can pull out of his bag of tricks, I guess.
Okay. So out turn draw, basically to catch a piece of the button and hopefully be as hidden as possible.
They got to go.
Mm-hmm.
This is thrown a little bit lighter. You know it finishes pretty hard. You gotta go.
The line is lovely, but I'm afraid it's just a hair light. And now actually is getting in the way a little bit in terms of what they were trying to do. So now...
Yeah, if they could have done anything, dragging that rock another, half a foot would have really helped them out there. But now we'll see.
Yeah, technically, I think the outside of the 4 foot is available. You could just draw for a second point. But Team Yanagisawa has 2 shots left. They're probably scheming about what their best option is on the first of the 2.
Well, they're looking at... Don't know if I really want to be moving a lot of that, because Jordan would just come back and put something up to protect that second stone there, limiting them to 1. So he's looking at doing the double, hitting this far red onto red, driving yellow out.
Yep.
Which then means that Jordan would come down and put a guard up top 12, I would think, limiting the scoring to 1.
Alrighty. They're really having to think about this. They've got the two red rocks just up at the top of the house, trying to decide which one to hit first. Coming into the one closer to the center line will give a lot more of the rock's momentum, a lot more of its power to drive the yellow away. But I think they ultimately want to make sure that their shooter somehow sort of rolls into the house. It'll probably just be sort of twisting its way in. It won't be going in with any big momentum. But that way they have options on both sides of the sheet. Yeah, there's some serious weight coming down. You need to go on this. And we're going to make contact 1, 2. And it twists its way in. Well, that's what they asked for. If I were scoring it, I would give them a good score because that's what they said. But I don't know how much it's helped. The good news is that it's almost impossible for Team King with their yellow stones to do much about shot rock. They can make a play. I guess they're looking at an angle raise double, which could work.
Or
that's a challenging shot.
That would be a 10 out of 10 if they land that one. They can also, I have to take a look at the angles from up above again. I mean, they just threw it. They could bump that third shot back into scoring. That's there. I don't know. This is a pretty tough shot on this side, but that's what they're going to go for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if he makes this, then this will be the shot of the game. So far, anyway.
Yeah.
No. Here's the call.
Unfortunately, I think it's narrow. So he didn't quite get out far enough. Now, the other options. I think there's actually a double. If we consider that in the top of the 12-foot, the red rock, I believe, is better than the yellow, then the double on the yellow at the top of the 4-foot could get them 3 points. Now they're just talking about that right now.
It's definitely an option.
It's not an easy shot, but it's there.
As long as they make sure they get their line right.
Mm-hmm.
What's the call here, David?
Well, they definitely talked about the one I mentioned. They're also, it looks like they're trying the other yellow double, but I don't understand why they would, because it doesn't get them any more points.
You can't get they have hammers?
Yeah, I wonder.
They might have forgot that they have hammer here. I'm not sure what this shot is and what the purpose of it is. The only shot I see is coming down that opposite side and doing the double on the yellow to, as you mentioned, to get the 3.
Yeah. It looks like they're trying the double.
But
all right.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand this shot.
He has 2 shots, so I guess this one is supposed to be a setup, or give himself more options, or also take away maybe his enemy's options, his opponent's options. But he has to be a little bit careful that he hits things on the right angle, because he could also get himself in trouble. That one that they do have counting has to stay.
And this is out there.
Yeah, this is not looking too bad. 1, 2. No.
That was the risk.
And not sure who is counting now. I think at least 1 yellow, if not 2.
It's 2 yellow.
Yeah. My goodness.
That was that jam. That's the challenge for me.
Yeah.
I'd be throwing the guard all day here. Take that side away. I mean, you can't take both sides away, but I'd take the easier of the 2 sides away. This is that was an interesting decision. That had a lot of risk to it, and we see the outcome.
Yeah. Well, the only thing about a guard in this situation is that your opponent has both sides to draw the 4-foot. So you can guard one side, but you can't take away all the options. The other option he has is to come down and just tap his own rock forward into the 4-foot and sit 3.
Well, we just saw them take a look at...
They're talking about that right now.
Watching not just that, but being very careful of that raise on that red that's at the top of the 12.
Well, that's a 2-rock shot. I mean, if you're going to leave them something, that's not a bad thing to leave. I think if they're really looking at an aggressive option, is just bumping their own yellow rock back into the top of the 4-foot, behind cover, maybe even to the tee line, and making the final shot for their opponent extremely difficult. No, now they're talking about coming the other way. So I guess they like the one rock basically choking off a large portion of the 4-foot, and they're coming the other way.
Well,
also optional. A draw, basically.
Well, I think I like the draw better than anything. It kind of takes that easier path down this side away from them for the draw.
He just has to make sure that he doesn't leave himself open or provide something for his opponent to hit and sit or hit and roll. This is you want to be very, very careful. This looks like it's over curling.
They catch that corner and bump off that red just a little bit. That's not a bad shot.
Yeah, not a bad result. Not what they were looking at, but not a bad result. Okay. So
are they facing 3? That's the question now.
I think so.
Yep.
I think so. Now, there's not much question about what they need to do here. I'm not sure what they're talking about. The idea of hitting a yellow, I don't understand. They really just have to draw.
And down that left side. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. The broom is in place.
And they gotta make sure that they have the weight to get past and let it curl naturally after they're past the guard.
Well, just have to basically bite the 4-foot. Any part of the 4-foot.
All right.
Yep. Took a long time to come up with what I think is a fairly obvious choice.
Well, I think they're also in prep mode here, right? A little bit. So they're taking the opportunity to look at all their angles and all their opportunities. So that may have been part of it.
All right. So to salvage 1 point, after having had shot rock for the vast majority of the end, against 3, a tough outturn draw.
Let's see if they jump on it really quick here or not.
Well, they'll want to keep it clean at the very least.
Has it got the weight? This doesn't look.
Come on. Oh, the sweepers haven't even.
No, he underthrew it right out of the hand.
3 yellow.
3.
Boy, it was 1 red for most of that end, and ended up 3 yellow.
So that's a big steal of 3 for King as we head into the 7th end. We'll be right back as soon as we can to get that end started.
Stronger agronomics, better returns, greater peace of mind from pre-seed to post-harvest. You can count on the Victory Canola program to keep you and your farm ahead of the curve. Grow with us at victorycanola.com.
Welcome to the rockshop.net, the official store for the Grand Slam of curling. Whether you're looking for the best hats, stylish clothing, fun toys, or unique accessories, the Rock Shop has it all. Shop online anytime at therockshop.net for exclusive Grand Slam of curling gear, or come see us in person at your next event. Therockshop.net, where fans find their favorite curling gear.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed? More innovation?
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
All right, we're back in the seventh end. That was a big end for King as they stole 3.
Yeah, they've taken a nice lead. I don't even know if the score has been added to the scoreboard. Oh, yes, they did. There it is now. I can just see it behind the curlers. 7-3 in favor of Team King. And they threw their first rock, understandably, into the top of the house. And Team Yanagisawa, with the red rocks, are basically trying to get something going with some corner guards. They're in a position where they have to generate some points, at least 2 with the hammer. Preferably more, because if they're going to give up the hammer and a lead to their opponent, that will make life difficult in the final end.
And this is a nicely placed rock.
Center guard. So Riku Yanagisawa knows that he's got to get some rocks in play. He's got to get them positioned perfectly. There's definitely more pressure now that we're at this point in the game. This is the first game of this competition for these guys, and I have a feeling that there may be some factors such as just getting comfortable on the ice, finding their feet, and learning a little bit about the nature of the curl in this particular facility. But even so, it's taken them several ends, and they're still struggling to try and find the right shots sometimes.
Yeah, we had a lot of guesswork on the last end, and that took a little bit to figure out. But lo and behold, here they are. King got the lead with the steal, and we are bringing this competition to you from Swift Current, Saskatchewan, which is not as difficult as saying the skip from Japan's last name.
Yeah, so you could say Swift Current. It's pretty easy. So, or Speedy Creek. We'll be okay. But the good news about the Japanese names, or frankly the language, I think you were telling me that you've been there before, but I lived and worked there for a year, and many years ago. But I found it's nice because the letters are easy to pronounce. The vowels always make the same sound, and so you can sound it out fairly quickly and sound more or less correct. It's not a language that has some of those crazy characters or different kinds of pronunciations of various letters that you're not sure, like English, for example.
Well, English is the hardest language to
I think so, yeah.
to speak. It's been a couple of years. That was a nice throw.
Yeah, it leaves a double. Leaves a double, unfortunately. That's the only downside. But But I think the rock that we're going to see now from Team Yanagisawa will still be a down weight, a draw/freeze kind of shot to put rocks in position, and ultimately to try and create something worth multiple points. Yeah, in my experience talking to people or working with people of different cultures or different languages, a lot of them will say, the hardest part about English is I look at a word and then I'm not really sure how to pronounce it.
So that rock is not what I expected them to throw. That
really?
That's not.
You wanted the hit?
I did want the hit.
Okay.
I mean, you gotta generate some points here. They could have hit and spread out a little bit.
Well, I'll give you. I mean, I'm hoping I'm not forecasting wrong, but I'm pretty much sure that you're going to see the hit. But by adding that extra red rock to the pile, that they're hoping that the hit will end up making them sit, 3 or 4 rather than 1 or 2, because when you're down 7-3, you got to generate some more. You got to need more
100%
more red granite to be lying around.
And here comes a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of that guard up top.
Well,
Replace it with their own.
Yeah, just replaced it. Now there is a port, interestingly. So now, are we going to come through the port and hit red onto yellow, or come around? Yep. Lots of options.
We'll see where this takes us.
Rico's dad definitely getting some input from his vice. It's interesting in this situation. I mean, when you're looking at the third rock of the end, the fourth rock of the end, you'd think they just ask the skip to make the call and let's go. But now we have two guys in the house chatting.
Well, you might have a little bit of a confidence thing going on here. And they've been struggling, well, not a little bit, quite a bit, with line calls and some weight. So maybe they're trying to figure out what the best way to generate some points here is. And gonna do that hit on the outside red.
Yep. They run the red into the yellow. The yellow should go, and their shooter should roll kind of away into the sort of the outer rings, so that it technically is still counting as a rock in the house, and could ultimately end up adding more points. Hopefully far enough away that there's no easy hit and roll to get back under cover. That's a key. We'll have to see how this turns out.
Here comes the throw. This could be a deciding end here as well. We were discussing that just during the break. They've got to get some points here. And they're working this one. This is definitely...
Okay, this is not
a hit.
Another rock on the pile.
I'm not quite sure why they maybe underthrew it. I'm not quite sure. Don't totally understand that one.
Okay. Well, things are getting interesting. Because now in order to hit red into yellow and get rid of yellow, we have to really fight the angles here. Now, what is Jayden King calling? Because I think this is just a plain draw or a guard.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is no end that I've seen.
He has the option. He has the option to just draw around everything to the forefoot and sit, and then that will cause all kinds of issues for his opponent.
And
maybe as you suggested, just end the game in the seventh end. It's got to curl a bunch.
This is heavy too. Well, maybe not.
Curl.
A little heavy. This gives the option for Rico to just come around, sit on top.
Yeah, he's got to open things up. Okay. Again, there's two of them down there making the calls.
The only time I've really seen this in international play, and I saw quite a bit of it, is when with confidence, you don't quite know what to do or how to call the ice.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just playing off of each other right now.
All right. Through the port, red into yellow. At least one yellow goes. And probably the red just splitting the top of the 8-foot there will probably also squirt sideways a little bit. We'll have to see. Depends on the angle.
This has got to be an upweight shot. There's the foot. That doesn't look like a lot of weight.
No, it's over curling. And so unfortunately, I think we're going to catch the guard. Goodness.
I mean, it opens it up, but watch King now just put the guard back up, I would think.
Yeah, that was not a terribly fruitful shot. And right now, Jayden King is sort of staring at this going, we're in a really good spot here. What should we do?
100%. Get that guard. Aye.
How do we, I think, yeah, you just put the guard back. So how do we make more of this? We're already lying 3. And the way the Red Rocks are positioned, it's in such a jumble that their opponent can't really do much.
I'm really not sure the thought process.
Yeah.
I would be throwing the guard all day, as most people, they're going to talk about it. Well, this is behind the glass. I'm not sure what's to talk about. You're sitting 3. And you got to get that guard up there, which limits that big weight open up, as you talked about there, David.
I think they're trying to broadcast forward to saying, well, what will happen in 2 shots? What will happen in 3 shots? Because I think you're right that the obvious choice right now is to guard, but then they're saying, okay, then what will he do? He'll do this. And then what will we do? How will we deal with it? So I think they're smart to think about these things. Goodness.
I think second and third stones create the overlap. He'd have to hit that one in order to do the double on the second and shot stone. Would be a difficult shot, but I mean, this should be a guard.
Well, we're about to find out.
Lots of angles.
Yeah. No reason to rock the boat, as it were. I mean, you've got a really great thing going on, and they're lying 3. Already with a 4-point lead in the 7th end.
Out of 8.
Yeah.
Only playing 8 ends here, not 10.
Yeah.
This should be a guard. They got the weight. They don't want this that deep. You can go a little bit, but not that deep.
Yeah, it's more a question of the position right to left. That's pretty good. And actually very similar to what they just lost when the opponent took it out. Yeah.
So I've just noticed Riku may not be calling the game on its own. In fact, he may be throwing 4 stones, but I'm not sure he's entirely calling the game.
Yeah.
Yamaguchi.
Yeah, his vice is definitely involved for sure. All right. So we're throwing the out turn. And it
should have considerable more weight, though.
It appears that we're actually trying the run back strategy, which I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I guess the idea is let's just try to open things up. If I'm guessing correctly, this will have a whole bunch of weight.
Should.
Yep.
Here comes throw, and not that much weight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that qualifies as a whole bunch.
And it's going to
over curling. Well, I guess you can say he removed the guard. So they should just put it right back. Let's hope that Jayden comes up and taps the broom and... Oh, dear. Now what are we doing?
I'm really not sure what the goals are here.
Oh, well, according to YouTube, we got about 150 people watching, and hopefully they're with us on this going, wait a second, guys, what are we doing?
Yeah, I'm not even... They're looking at the angles. I can tell you they're looking at the angles.
Yep.
But why you just would not... I hope this is a guard.
Well, based on where the broom is compared to his former guard, I think that's exactly what we're looking at. Thankfully, I think they are right to take a quick look and just say, what options does our opponent have in terms of how they hit things, and that determines where exactly they want to put the guard. But at the end of the day, I think it was always going to be a guard. So here we go. I think if they could put it back literally where it was,
Yeah,
that
100%.
wouldn't be a bad thing.
Not at all. His first stone of the 7th end for Jayden King. Where's it going to finish?
Well, they're working it just to bring it over. I think it's in a pretty good spot. So it's more or less taken away one side. Definitely left an angle for through the port. That port is much bigger than it was with the last guard.
I think they're definitely going to come through the port. I think that was the look.
Yeah, we're down to skip rocks. We have 2 reds left to go, and just 1 for Jayden King's yellows. I really think they have to make this shot, or life is going to be very tricky. They're trying to run back again. Dead nose.
On that far red stone, I believe. Are they calling for the top red or the one off to the right?
I think they're running the guard straight back. They're trying to hit the guard on the nose and run it straight back into the pile.
Well, that's got more weight to it.
Dead nose.
And they get rid of 1. But
well, it opened things up. But yellow is still relying 2, and not a lot of options for the red team.
I like setting the yellow stone just off the red. That forces the long raise on the one side. They're going to take a look at that.
There's a few options, I think. Although there's a tendency to look at this red in the top of the house right now where they're looking, where the yellow is. It's lined up poorly. It won't help red get any points. So the one that helps red get points is the one off to the side. The one they need to get in the way of.
I almost like coming down through the port and just tucking it into the just slightly off that red stone that's higher in the 12.
It's got to come through. If they're going to come through the port, as you say, I think they have to come deep enough that they basically block the red rays. From what I can see right now, the only thing that red has is an angle tap on the 12 foot, the one in a full 12 foot back into the button area. I don't think there's any draw. I don't think there's any run back. I guess you could
run the red back.
Yeah, the long red, the long guard.
I don't know why they're way out here, but yeah, I think they're worried about the.
I guess Jayden thinks he can hit that red that's way out here in the wings hard enough to roll over into the 4 foot. But honestly, you know what? He could roll shot. Let's put it that way. 3rd shot. He doesn't have to be all the way to the 4 foot. Just roll over somewhere. But he could also give his opponent something to come in off. So he has to be a little bit careful.
So this is an interesting call. Last stone of this 7th end for Jayden King. He's going to give it a lucky rub again, just make sure nothing's under it. Taking a long time to do the shot. It's got to come up a bit.
Going to hit, but it's not going to roll. That's okay. No harm done. Now, they can't possibly be looking at hitting this rock because you can get rid of a yellow and just give them 1, but you can't.
The only shot I see is coming in off of Ray's either coming through the port, which would be incredibly difficult, or I don't understand what this shot is. Is this his last stone or his first?
This is it. This is it.
Is he trying to limit?
They're looking at the angle raise. If they're trying that, they must be thinking they can get, I don't know what they're thinking.
Why would they not do the angle raise on the red at the top of the 12 to angle it back?
The intern.
Yeah.
This is the drag effect.
Well,
if you hit the red, does the yellow drag and make the double on the two yellows?
Not even close.
Nope.
0% chance. I think they have to. Well, I'll let them try. The strangest thing for me is that the intern tap on the red at the top of the 12 seems fairly obvious, and they don't even seem to look at it.
They didn't.
But they can only get 1 point. That's, I guess, maybe they're trying to see if they can find more than 1 point. Maybe that's the motivation.
This is nosed almost. Huh? They give it a go.
Yeah. 1 yellow and a handshake.
All right. Well, it's been fun, David. That one left us in question marks, but that'll be a steal of 1 for Jayden King at the opening game for both these teams at the Speedy Creek Shootout. It's been fun. We'll see you later.
It has been fun, and we'll see you in some of the games tomorrow.
You bet. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.